Okay, so listen, thanks everyone. Really appreciate it. Hey Mark, sorry about that.
Hey guys.
And yeah,
Hey Mark.
I think I know what I did, but there you go. So we
I was
still got.
lost there for a while.
I'm lost most of the time, Mark, so don't worry about that. As you know, actually at this stage. So listen, I'm just watching people come in. Would it be okay, Christine, if I made you co-host so you can keep an eye on if I miss people looking to be let in? So
of course.
Just going to make you co-host if you can keep an eye on that. So look, listen, thanks everyone. Really appreciate not just being here tonight, but the interest in this has been really very rewarding. And if I can just now get into the right slides, that would also help. So let's give that a second. There you go, live TV. Okay, so can we see those slides on the screen? Can somebody give me a thumbs up?
Yeah,
cool. Thanks, Christine. So listen, as I said, really appreciate you all being here tonight. There's about 30 or so. I suspect I've got a few more. There's a few more coming there now, Christine. Really been, very sort of gratifying the interest that we've had in this. And for some of you who've traveled the journey a bit longer, I know this is arriving perhaps a little bit later than we originally intended, but sometimes that's not a bad thing. Sometimes actually you get to figure out some of the nuances along the way. So the idea tonight is, yes, to launch it in effect, make a couple of introductions, and as much as possible, give you as much, kind of an oversight as to what this looks like, how it will feel, and obviously hoping very much that a number of you, the current graduates, are obviously already eligible, but I know there's a lot of people here who are currently just started the second semester, actually. So hopefully this is something you'll be looking to do later in the year. Just still letting a few people in. So look, here we go. Myself, who you probably know a bit too well at this point, Christine, who I think most of you would know at this point as well.
Sorry to interrupt, Andrew. Are you going to try to share the slides?
I am trying to share the slides. Are they not being?
I can just see an Excel spreadsheet with.
Well, okay. I need to come
apology.
Out. No. Thanks, Mark. That's what I was saying about the thumbs up. Are they there now?
Yeah, they are indeed.
Oh, yeah. That's the dread fear when you do this stuff on Zoom. So, as I said, myself, Christine, and there he is, Mark, who's going to be very much part of the delivery of this Bachelor, really the add-on. So this is what we're talking about. I think we've tried to explain this as well as we can. Those of you who have graduated from September 21 class or January 22, and congratulations from Tuesday when you officially receive the results. The idea very much is that the certificate adds on to the diploma and basically converts or equals into a full bachelor's award. And, before I go any further, I actually have to give Christine an awful lot of credit for this, because this to me was a very novel, innovative idea when we first talked about it, probably well over a year ago. And Christine's got some experience of this type of delivery from another program she works on. So I do obviously give Christine a lot of credit for helping me get my head around this. And as soon as she said it to me, I was like, wow, that's really cool. And it's really cool on a couple of levels. One is to convert the diploma into a bachelor award. That's cool. And I know that's something for a lot of you. It's a really interesting opportunity. Secondly, I think the opportunity to really bed in what we're doing in terms of the diploma itself with applied workplace, knowledge, skills, whatever vocabulary you want to use around that. And that was very much the genesis of what we tried to do. And I can honestly say myself and Christine spent a lot of time on this, teasing out how we're going to do this. So tonight, it's quite exciting to have an opportunity to share with you what this is going to look like. So I'm going to introduce Mark and Christine at some point. You're not going to have to listen to me for an hour. So first and foremost, what does it look like? One semester, 13 weeks. We think that's a good thing because we think that it makes it nice and concise. We originally actually played around the idea of it being 2 semesters, 6 months, and I think we finally got back to the idea that no, we think this is very doable, very plausible over a 1 semester, 13-week period. 2 modules, which I'll get onto in a minute, and minimal classes, really. Most of this is very much you working with a mentor, probably, you know, myself and Mark to some degree, but very minimal classroom interaction. This is what the classes do look like. And as of today, we've decided it's going to be Saturday, March 4th, when we start this. Mark will take the first class. The classes are going to be very much like what you're used to. So you're used to the idea of 10 to 2 on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. The first class is just nudged forward a bit because Mark has got some other commitments. But as you can see, not a lot of classroom time. Classes will be recorded and shared as usual. We will be using Moodle and all the content and all that stuff as usual. But this is very much designed for your own, if you like, self-learning. So the 2 modules, and I'll get Mark to talk about the one he's going to very much focus on in a moment, professional communication and employment preparation. And before you, and me and Mark talked about this last week, Mark, and feel free to join in.
Yeah.
Before you sort of like go, oh my God, you know, I'm a bit sort of long in the tooth to be doing that. We're very cognizant of the reality, and we know you. We're cognizant of, you know, there's different levels of experience, there's different levels of seniority, there's different experience. So this is not, as Christine said earlier on today when we chatted, we're not treating you like undergrads here. We're going to treat you as grown-up professionals, and we're going to tailor, and I'll get Mark to speak to this in a minute, your experience of this module to your learning journey. Where are you in your career, and what do you need, and where can we help you? So as I said, this is not some sort of standardized undergrad teach people how to write a CV, stuff like that. Mark and myself are going to be very conscious of where you are on your journey. I'm delighted to say we're nearly at 40, Christine. So I nearly got my number. 40 was my number earlier on today. So I'll talk about the second module, which is obviously a little bit more substantive, if I can say that. And the second module is obviously very much, if you like, where we're focusing on you demonstrating literally your capacity to achieve certain competencies or prove that you are capable of certain work-based competencies, everything mapped back to the original diploma. And again, that's something myself and Christine were really, really very kind of committed to doing. Like, we're taking what I think is a lot of really applied learning from the diploma and basically putting even more into the workplace. What's the objective here? And I'll hand over to Mark in a minute. The objective is for this certificate to really just cement even more your learning, your practical knowledge. And when you are trying to progress your careers in whatever way, you can demonstrate, I've done this, I know how to do this. Some of you, and I might actually ask Christine to say a couple of words before I introduce Mark properly. Some of you were at the event that we had in TU Taylor a couple of weeks ago. And I think, Christine, it's fair to say, because you did the panel with the graduates, one of my big takeaways was the confidence that people got from the diploma to demonstrate and apply their skills, put their hand up in meetings, take on projects. So I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit, Christine, before I introduce Mark to talk about his particular module.
Absolutely. I mean, this is taking the independent learning aspect that was kind of introduced in the 40 credits and bringing that to a whole new level, and is much more about you taking those skills to the workplace and demonstrating that you do truly understand them. We have said from the beginning that this program was built in conjunction with industry, and we want to now start repaying into industry and showing them that it is making a difference and that you can make a difference. And the reason why we complement that with the professional communication and employment preparation is because one of the other things we always said that this program would be was a conversion program. It would take you from where you were and take you to the next level. So whatever that level is, the PC and EP module is designed to be bespoke in that it will look at who you are now and where you want to go. We will have individuals involved to do interviews that are at the correct level. And Mark will talk more to that in a couple of minutes. And really what we want to do is give you more at the interview. So it isn't just about the CV, it isn't just about the qualifications that you have, but that you will actually be able to enhance the CV by some of the deliverables that you do as part of this program. You'll see as we go through later, there's not an awful lot of writing in this, guys. We don't want reams and reams of information. We want it short and succinct and to hit the point. We want you to be actively in the workplace, taking the knowledge from that 40 credits and living it in your own work environment. And with the work of a mentor, either from within your employment, which is the preference, and we will try to facilitate that with you or support you in that, or we will try to work with you in providing you with a mentor. It's all about guidance and making sure that we show you how to bring those learning objectives to life.
Thanks, Christine. And look, I mean, I always talk about the learning journey, and everyone's in a different place. We're all in a different place on whatever our journey is. So, Mark, if I can hand it over to you, no better man to do this. And I know you've got experience with working on programs with Christine, but if you want to talk about what you want to achieve, I suppose, from the module for a few minutes.
Yeah, no, thanks, Andrew, and thanks, Christine. That was like, I think you introduced me there about 10 times. So there's no pressure whatsoever. But I suppose, first of all, just to say, it's an absolute pleasure to be involved. And just even seeing what Andrew and Christine have done to date on this module, like the passion and the effort that's gone in so far, it will be a great success. A big thing for me is really, of course, achieving your personal goals and getting really good results and all that good stuff. But what will come from this whole module is beyond the classroom as well, and how you will tie all of this type of stuff in together when you're applying for whatever job you may be applying for going forward. I suppose just a bit of a reason why I'm here talking to all of you. My background, I currently head up financial services in Corn Ferry, which incorporates our fintech sector group. And if you don't know Corn Ferry, it's I suppose it's the world's leading organizational consultancy business. However, I work in search, so it's effectively executive headhunting. So I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly in terms of what is the right CV, the right LinkedIn profile, what professional communication and language you need to use to really put your best foot forward, how to present yourself in a video that you have to submit in different application processes, and then a hugely important piece, the interview. So the whole thing around it is your own personal brand. And of course, there's people with different levels here on this, but it doesn't matter. We'll get stuck in to each of your backgrounds and really tailor the module to suit you and make sure you get what you want out of it. Prior to Corn Ferry, I spent 12 years in BDO. I'm a chartered accountant and worked across corporate finance, insolvency, and then actually complete pivot. I headed up the firm's business development team for 5 years. And I tend to ramble on a bit, but it's a module I also run on one of Christine's accountancy and finance programs as part of TU Dublin. And like, why I'm so passionate about it is because I didn't have any of this when I was doing my sort of degree and postgraduate diploma. And if I'm being completely honest, I made every mistake in the world around my CV and interview and job applications, because I never tailored it to my skills and to the job that I was applying for. And there's even an extension to that when it comes to applying for jobs in the fintech sphere. You have to tailor it and tweak it that bit more and make it that bit more bespoke. So yeah, like, I suppose the whole point of it all is really how to put your best foot forward online and otherwise. We all know the online piece is as important as your in-person interview these days. And it's just really, it's really just getting your personal brand out there as best you can. So like, there's different elements we'll be talking through. It is the CA's, a CV, LinkedIn. There will be a video that you have to submit. We will present 5 or 6 job role specs to you at various levels of employment, and you can choose one and basically submit a video applying for that job. And the interview will also be linked to that. But there's so much more things we'll talk about with regards to how you carry yourself potentially in your new career. But really it all stems down to making that impact and getting your own personal brand out there as well as possible. But delighted to be here. Yeah, and a big thing about this, obviously, we've loads of time for Q&A at the end if you want to drill deeper into any aspect of this. So delighted to be here and can't wait to get to know everyone.
No, thanks, Mark. No, listen, you know, something actually said there, and it resonated with me today, is an expression I first heard probably about a year ago, but I use it quite a lot now. People don't know what good looks like. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help you, and the feedback and the network and the peer-to-peer and your experience, obviously, Mark, is try and help people get to where do they want to be? And I don't know, it's an individual thing, but I do think that one of the things we can promise to do is to really bespoke it around the person and the individual and their journey. So look, it's great to have Mark involved. I'm still letting people in, by the way, Christine.
Andrew, can I just make one quick point? A big thing for me is you all have unbelievable experience, no doubt, and this course will really add to your technical expertise and really help you at the next phase of your career if you are looking for new jobs. But a big thing about what I'm trying to spell out and share with you all is the non-negotiables, right? We can really help tailor a bespoke CV, LinkedIn profiles, how you do an actual really competent pitch by video, but also how you interview as well as you can. Because for me, yes, the technical side is brilliant and that's what's needed to get ahead, but a lot of these are non-negotiables. Like, you need to nail these to put your best foot forward. So sorry, it was just a point, and it's just a bit of hard work. It's not necessarily really difficult to do. So hopefully I think you'll get a lot out of it.
No, I appreciate it, Mark. And look, I really, you know, appreciate the time, and I know the commitment you're going to put into this. So, you know, really do.
Andrew, I'll just add to this point as well, is it's this module that brings everybody out of their comfort zone, because you know, we all hate talking about ourselves and we all hate putting that CV together. It's one of the things that you put 1,000 other things ahead of doing. So we're going to force the point a little bit and make you come in and do the CV, not because you need it now, but because it's important for you to think about who you are and what you've achieved, because building that CV actually makes you achieve something in your mind. It makes you reflect on where you've been and also where you want to go. And you'll see that the module is called Professional Communication and Employment Preparation. And we will pull on all strings of communication, putting together a CV, what it looks like to put together a social media communication distinct from the CV, a PowerPoint presentation, do that in a video format that's static, and then do it in an interview style where you're being asked live questions. So we're going to challenge you on all of the things that people tend to be quite uncomfortable about. And we're going to force those that are uncomfortable with it out into the light. I'll
move on because I'm conscious of time and I do want to leave time for Q&A, but
Sorry, Andrew.
No, Mark, no, I'm the culprit here. But I'm also reminded very quickly, Christine, of Adrian Whelan at that live event talking about the importance of communication, writing, being able to talk to people. And I think these skills can't be overstated, and it's very close to, I think, our collective hearts here. So that's the first module, the 5 credit. The second module, the 15 credit. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the assessment, and then I'm just going to dig into it a little bit. But please bear in mind, tonight is really just an overview. There's an awful lot of actually quite granular detail underpinning this. What are we going to be asking you to do? We're going to be asking you to complete what we call 6 core competencies, 6 electives, and then a portfolio at the end. So kind of ignore this slide a little bit. I just put it in there because I thought it was important. All the competencies are mapped to the learning outcomes of this particular certificate, which is also mapped back to the learning outcomes of the diploma. So if you think of it in the sense of we are trying to, and this is a very carefully chosen word, help you demonstrate like something real and tangible that you can actually show to somebody, and you can prove to somebody that I am capable of doing this. So we'll come back to this, when we have more time to speak. But a couple of things I thought would be front and center of people's minds tonight when they think about what does that mean? How do I actually do that? So we've given you a lot of latitude, I think. So for some of you, I think you will be able to prove this in your daily work and job, or your experience, or your ability to prove that you've obviously done certain things in your career. For some of you, maybe less so, but we're going to give you obviously the latitude to maybe pick a financial service provider or a hypothetical employer, and obviously try and demonstrate how you can do that. And we've got a number of pathways and a number of ways that we think we can do this to help you again establish and demonstrate that skill set. Slight difference between the core competencies and the electives. I am going to share the recording of the slide, so you can obviously come back to that, but I don't think we need to overthink that too much tonight. So the next question I thought a lot of people would have is, well, what does this mean in terms of, the ask, the workload involved? Mark and Christine have also already touched upon this. We actually want you to think about this in a very succinct way. I'm a great fan of that old adage, if I had the time, I'd write a short letter. I think it's much harder to be succinct than sort of ramble on for a few thousand words or whatever it might be. So this is what the template looks like for the expectation around each competence. And again, there's a slight difference between the core and the elective, but we don't need to worry about that too much tonight. But I think what I want you to take away from this is, we're looking for, as it says there, very indicative. And those who know me, I'm not a great man for word counts in the first place. We want quality. We want quality. We want to see you demonstrate your quality and your real ability. So we put it in as 550 to 750. What does that add up to? It adds up to about 6,000 or 8,000 words in theory. That's about the same amount that we were looking for in a semester for the diploma. If you think about doing 4 assignments, 1,500, 2,000 words each, this is like doing 12 mini assignments. And I think it could be a lot more challenging, which is a word I like, but also I think it creates a lot more real demonstrable learning outcomes. So that's what they look like. The portfolio, which is the other piece of the assessment, the portfolio, I think, and I might ask Christine to say a few words about this, because Christine, I know, and again, not that I'm not, but Christine is a tremendous advocate of so-called transferable skills. And I think what we're trying to achieve in the portfolio is also to integrate back to what Mark has done in his module and allow you to demonstrate your own reflection and how your skills have evolved. So I don't know if you want to say a few words on this real quickly, Christine.
Yeah, in doing 12 mini pieces of work, it's difficult for you to see in any one of them where you've come or how far you've come. And so the idea of the final portfolio allows you to reflect on those mini tasks and think about, well, what have I actually achieved in all of that? Not just in each one individually, but collectively, where have I improved? What kind of skills did I need to pull on? What did I need to improve on? Where did I start from? Where was I weak? And where did I find that I had improved by the end of it? And I think you'll find that when you look back and reflect on that journey, you'll realize that you've achieved quite a lot. And that skill of reflecting, we need in everyday work life as well. Looking back on what we did and thinking, I could have done it differently. And it's no harm to do that because it's a skill in itself. And so we wanted to bring that to the forefront as well. But what's unique about the portfolio at the end is this ties back into what you'll do for the delivery for Mark, because you'll write that 2,000 words and then you will present it. So you'll complement that with the 2-minute video that Mark spoke to you about earlier on. We'll complement this with a small suite of slides. Again, not 10, not 15, not 20. We're talking 3, 4, or 5 slides, and you videoing yourself talking through that portfolio. So that is a culmination of your 12 mini projects and you talking about what they mean to you as a collective, putting together a short presentation as though you were delivering it to a board and saying, look at what I've done. And again, we want you to think about it's your employer who you're facing, or a potential employer who you're facing, delivering this and explaining to them how this program has made you a better employee. So you'll submit, as Mark has said, your CV, your LinkedIn profile, and that 2-minute video that summarizes your journey on this 20 credits. And the submission of that then will be part of the interview that you do with an individual from industry, and that individual will be relevant to the job that you have chosen. And that's how we're able to scale it to the different types of individuals that are here from levels of, you know, relatively low level positions in terms of operations all the way up to management level, as well as the diversity of different roles that exist within finance.
And just on that, again, you know, I always like to be really sort of very transparent, you know, with what I call learners. I think that the reason that we can do this is that we have a unique opportunity, and the unique opportunity is very much correlated to the network and community that we built. So we have this capacity, and you see it in the faculty. You've all seen the faculty as graduates and current learners. You see it in Christine and Mark, and you see it in the open event, that we have the capacity to do what Christine just said. This creates unique opportunity for you to have an opportunity to be interviewed and develop your own brand, as Mark would put it. And we can support you in the context of having a career in Fintech Risk Compliance, which is a pretty broad church of things to talk about. So I might do a bit of a recap, but just to finish off this little piece for myself, the core competencies, you know, we think again that 13 weeks is optimal, we think. Obviously, you know, for some of you, you might start the journey and, you know, as happens, you might need extensions, you might need to defer something, and we're going to manage that process with you. But overall, we think this is a relatively realistic timeline, and I will be mocking up some timetables for you, that over the first sort of 6 weeks, the first half, if you like, you can deliver on hopefully half of the competencies, 3 from the core, 3 from the electives. What we think, and those that you know me, you all know me as graduates, definitely, you know, drafts. Send me a draft. Let me look at it. Let me see where maybe I can help you frame how you're going to deliver upon that competency a little bit more effectively. And there's another piece to this that I need to get to in a few minutes. But we think this is realistic. And we obviously would really like to reach a point where you're delivering that final portfolio piece, which is going to be written as you go along, we would hope, because you're reflecting as you go along. And it's your journey. And again, those of you who know me better than others, I'm always emphasizing the I, your voice. It's about your journey and your voice. And that's what's most important in what we're trying to achieve here. Just a couple of other things. I have spoken to some of you, but not all of you, about this particular offering. And the role of the so-called mentor or employer is going to be important. So Christine touched upon this earlier. In an ideal scenario, you would have somebody at work. So, you know, it could be a colleague, it could be a line manager, it could be somebody more senior. And on a great, and I know, again, Christine and Mark and myself have spoken about this a lot, I think having mentors in your life is incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us don't always have that strong mentor type person in our life. So if there is somebody in the work environment that you're comfortable with, you know, providing that sort of mentorship, how you approach the overall certificate, that would probably be optimal, you know. But if that's not something you're comfortable with, or there isn't somebody in your work environment that is going to sort of provide that kind of mentorship for you, then it's our job to help you with that. And we've already sourced what I believe to be a really good sort of, you know, collection of industry people who would be prepared to do that. But I might just ask Christine to say a word on this again, because Christine's had experience of this. The key thing, and you all know this is the word that I focus on all the time, is engagement. You do need to engage. And again, going back to the event a couple of weeks ago, Christine, one of the real takeaway comments on the day was, you'll get out of this what you put into it. So I don't know if you want to just make a comment or two, Christine, or Mark, even around the importance of this mentor role.
Yeah. One of the things or the core piece around those competencies that you're delivering on is engagement with your employment, with your specific job, whatever it is, the role that you're in. And in some cases, it might mean you embarking cross-functionally in order to be able to access certain documentation or get involved in things that you're not ordinarily involved in. And that mentor type role may be the one with the key to give you access to those different areas. So as much as giving you guidance on your approach, etc., they will also possibly be the individual to help to introduce you to the other individuals in the organization to allow you to actually participate in some of these activities. Because we understand that what we're asking you to do in some instances, the documentation, etc., might not readily be available to you. And so we have to consider that at each stage, and the mentor might be able to help you better. Again, we will facilitate those of you who absolutely cannot find a mentor. We will try to support you in giving you an in-house mentor, but it is going to be optimal, as Andrew said, if you can find one in the organisation.
No, and I think, again, Mark, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, just to that point as well, like sometimes your mentor is not for life, right? And you have to get the right fit, I suppose, for you personally and what you're trying to achieve and get out of it. But it may not be in your firm. It may not be in your team. It may be a senior professional. No, it doesn't necessarily have to be really senior in a different firm or a different company. It's just all about giving you that objective view and advice. And the word mentor is kind of scary sometimes. What's this person going to be sharing with me or telling me what to do? But it's just another person that's probably been there, done that can give you a steer. So no, hopefully we can also help with whatever about sourcing mentors and decent professionals that can. It's that sort of relationship with a mentor, how you can actually approach that conversation with someone to become a mentor, or what, and how you articulate what you want to get out of it. So we can hopefully help with that as well.
No, I think what I'd also say from my experience of what I call the ecosystem, there's an awful lot of really good people out there who are actually really happy to engage with people on this like this. There's a lot of people out there, and I know it sounds cliche, but they sort of really genuinely want to give back, and they want to help develop the talent that the ecosystem needs. And that's what this is all about, is developing the talent that's going to underpin, I hope very much, the growth and evolution of the Irish financial services industry. And that's what this is all about. And I more than ever think that it's the people, the talent, that we need to focus our attention on, because I think even conversations even today that I've had with people, there is a supply-demand imbalance in risk compliance. And I think we heard Donald Whelan address this even at the live event. So our job, my job, if you like, particularly, is to try and enable you to be part of that solution, to provide the talent to the industry. I suppose I should
before I move on, I just want to make one final point on that around the mentor. Just be careful in choosing a mentor. Don't necessarily follow power and seniority. There could be someone else in the organization who you admire as an individual for what they've achieved, but it doesn't necessarily have to be high up the ranks. Look at somebody who you admire and you admire what they have achieved, and you feel you can work well with them. And that might be someone who's more well connected than is powerful. So just don't follow power, follow people, follow good people.
Well said. And I think also diversity of opinion and experience is really important as well. So let me just move on a tiny bit. I suppose this is the bad bit. This is the side that if I didn't have to, I wouldn't get to, but I do have to. Look, for graduates of the program, you've obviously benefited from Springboard funding, and obviously for the program itself, that's a significant, factor in the amount of access we've been enabled to create to the program. And at this point, actually, we're close to around 200 either graduates or current learners or prospective learners. So that being said, and it is what it is, €460 would have been what most of you would have paid as a fee to complete the FRC. We tried very hard, and myself and Christine and a couple of other parties have debated this, for a number of months. We finally settled on €990, and as you can see, part of the rationale is that effectively means that the total fee to complete a bachelor and get that full award is €1,450. We obviously understand €990 is a reasonable amount of money, but we would also proposition that to get a full bachelor's award, and I'm going to say of this quality, for a total fee of $1,450, I think is a reasonable proposition. But obviously, we're clearly cognizant, that it is a financial commitment, and I would have often had this conversation with people over the years that it's a financial commitment. It's obviously a commitment of your time, and everyone has a work-life balance, and you have to try and get that balance right. But I personally obviously believe that this is something of genuine value. I would hope that the fact you're on the call tonight is something of a testament to the experience that you had when you studied the diploma with us, and the value and I hope the quality of the learning outcomes we achieved. Hopefully tonight we're committing to do that again and convert it into a bachelor, but that's a personal decision. That's a personal decision. But Christine, I feel like you want to say something there. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Andrew hates the money side of things. I'm an accountant, on the other hand. A couple of things to point out. This is the first iteration of the degree, and so this is, if you like, a discount price that's being put on the first iteration of it. And I feel it's important to say that for those of you that might put it off and come on to the second iteration, because the price will be higher on the second one. We're doing that as the offer price as a result of you were the first onto the DFRC and now the first onto this, and we wanted to pay respect to that. Now I want to put money aside for a minute and just point out that forget about the award at the end, that passport that we use and that piece of paper. If you think about what you're getting out of it, if any one of us wanted to do a CV, a LinkedIn profile, get a professional to input in terms of mentoring or a mock interview, we would pay for it.
Yeah.
And we'll probably pay more than the price that's on the screen to get it done well. We're giving you access to specialists in the industry, to experts in the industry, to do that for you as part of the program. So for me, the money is really, really acceptable with all of that that's on offer.
No, and I'd also say, Christine, and you introduced this type of thinking to me. The idea that this will enable you to really demonstrate what you can give back to industry, what you can do on a Monday morning. And I think, if you think about it, like education, I think always is, education is an investment in your own future. And again, I know that's a cliche, but cliches are cliches for reasons, because they're truisms basically most of the time. So that's the way I would look at it. But obviously, again, it's up to yourselves. I can say from our perspective, we can talk about installments and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. What I'll move on to, if it's okay, Christine, is if anyone's got any questions, before I open it up, and there's been a few questions in the chat, just a quick kind of reminder of what we tried to work through. 2 modules. We've given you hopefully a good idea of what the objective is of the modules. We've given you a good idea, hopefully, of what the assessment looks like. We've given you hopefully a good idea of the support that's going to underpin it. And again, I would hope from your experience in the diploma, you very much know that when we say we're going to support you, we deliver on that. Again, I would hope that's self-evident. So this will be shared with you. Don't worry too much about some of the detail. I hope what we've also demonstrated, and I can honestly say this is true, myself and Christine spent a lot of time working on this and trying to figure out all the different nuances. This is a kind of proud night, if I can say that, Christine, because it's the first time we've really talked about it publicly. What I can say, just for a little bit of housekeeping on my side, the PAT FinTech website will be updated tomorrow. Now that, it's like the cat's out of the bag. We can talk about it publicly tomorrow. Obviously, we will be setting up the bookings and taking payments as and when. There's a few other little things I was going to mention, but nothing that I think we need to get into tonight because I'm conscious of the time.
Let's move it over to questions.
Yeah.
There.
So anyone got a particular question? Sorry, if you don't have to go on camera. If you just want to verbalize it or drop it in the chat. Any questions out there?
Hi, Andrew. Bobby here. I just have a question. Hiya. So I'm currently in the semester 2.
Yeah.
So anyone who's still in the first part of the course, if they want to do the bachelor's, will they have to wait until they've completed, or can they do it like concurrently at the same time?
No, I'm going to be the tough guy.
Yeah.
Christine,
it would be too much, actually. To be honest with you, we wouldn't do that to you because I think we would break you.
Yeah, I think it would be
enough, as much as you can chew at a given time. And we need to be responsible and not give you more than you can tolerate. We want you to enjoy being on the program and enjoy the journey and take as much in as you can. And you just wouldn't be able to do that if you did it all together.
So probably
that
to
makes
answer your
sense.
next question, Bobby, you'll be graduating, because you will, sort of May, June. What we'll do is we'll have the experience of the first intake by then, because it will be completed. And obviously what we're going to do is see what the demand is like for when we run it again. So let's say hypothetically, Bobby, not hypothetically, you will graduate, but let's say you graduate May, June. Do we wait till September and you finish the Bachelor by the end of the year? Or do we run it a little bit earlier? We'll talk to you. We'll find out what the demand is like. I think, is it fair to say, Christine, one of the nice things about this offering, because there's not a lot of classroom time, we can be kind of creative about how many.
Absolutely. If there's a demand there for us to rerun again in September, October for a new January graduation, that's fine with me. If the demand is there, we'll be more than happy to run it.
Is that okay, Bobby? Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I agree with what you're saying. I think it would be too much to do it at the same time. But I just wanted to kind of know if you had any dates in mind. But as you said, you'll see what the demand is at the time. So it sounds good.
That's actually a good question, Christine.
I see that coming in there. Yeah,
because Avril is also currently,
Yeah, no, there's not. That's the unique thing about this. It's called professional practice. It's putting it into practice. So there isn't a final exam.
And then just the next one with Avril there about, if you're, let's say, similar to Bobby, you're currently in the second semester. So let's say you're hoping to do this later this year. How nervous should they be about the cost point?
It won't be too astronomical, but we've got to be
Andrew,
as well. Andrew fought hard to keep it as reasonable as possible for the intake. So we need to discuss it a little bit more, but we have been really, really lenient on that price that we've put forward.
Hey, Aidan, go on, sir.
No, I'm just going to propose a free service. I would add a negotiating mentorship for anyone who is afraid of dealing with Christine, because Christine, you're not an accountant, you're a brilliant salesperson. Well done.
Well said, Aidan. Well said.
Much appreciated.
Well said, sir.
All joking aside, Andrew, on just a few questions in there about people who are not necessarily specifically in the industry per se right now. For awkward folks like myself, we don't really fit, but like the idea of having the bachelor's as distinct from diploma, who don't really have a I won't say a requirement, but just don't fit into the spec of having a current existing mentor or employee, or even looking for a job. But, you know, is there merit in going through it?
I would say absolutely yes.
Of course you would.
She's had it again.
But if you think about it, put aside the professional practice piece, like from a communication skills point of view. I've said all along that module is as much about, you know, building a range of different communication skills. And then as well as that, it kind of gives you a bit of a roadmap to implement things in industry. So it kind of it forces you to take a look at things that you wouldn't ordinarily stick your nose into and go, what could I do here? How could I input? What would I change? So it just kind of gives you a roadmap to force yourself to ask questions, to get more involved. And listen, some people naturally are or do that, but it kind of gives you a reason and an excuse to do it. And then on top of that, you know, you get the award as well, which, look, for me is the bonus. It's what you get out of the program that's more important.
I think there's a couple of things as well, Aidan. I'll try and sell it for a minute here. I think the electives, I did a tot up today. There's like 18 different electives, of which you only need to do 6. So clearly you could really take yourself out of your comfort zone, trying to look at something that you wouldn't normally expose yourself to. And again, we've allowed a lot of, if you like, latitude in terms of how people can demonstrate that they've met that kind of elective competency. I would also, because I had this conversation with somebody yesterday, I think a lot of it also, Aidan, I think you already fall into this category maybe, it is about the network and who you meet and who you get to know. And you never know, you know, you and I have talked about this in previous life in a way, you never know who you meet, what they're involved in, what the cross interest might be. And I do think this is somewhat at a nexus of a lot of cross currents around where financial services are evolving. So my pitch would be, you know, just even from the networking and the development of so-called soft skills, which are not soft, and Mark knows very well. I think that's very much part of what we're trying to achieve here, you know, because again, going back to what Adrian Whelan said on the day, if you want to learn how to communicate with people and talk to people and write, and again, I had a conversation about there's a real skill shortage around effective writing skills. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to practice it.
Listen, I would absolutely applaud all of that, Andrew, agreed, and applaud you guys on the approach that's been very, you know, specific to helping people prepare, not, you know, for on a general level for presenting themselves as distinct from just, you know, getting a certification or an award. And, you know, to your point of networking, absolutely. See, I finally get to meet Mark Hamilton, so it's working out.
Well, maybe you can be my mentor, Aidan. But to that point, like it's what you really want to get out of it. Like I would have mentored a lot of startups from Dogpatch Labs over the years, and I could never really support them with their technical products and
Mm.
engineering whatsoever. But where I could support them with was through introductions and maneuvering through the sort of broader professional services sphere. So it's just really what you need personally, and I suppose with your business. But yeah, let's take that coffee offline, Aidan.
Yeah.
No side deals, lads. No side deals.
I'm sorry, Regina here. Yeah, of course.
Hey,
I have.
how are you, Gina?
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I love the course, and hopefully you'll have me on the next one, because look, it develops your soft skills as much as once you use it, as well as the qualification. And Christine, I love the area you're in, and I'm a firm advocate of transferring skills and setting up there. And this is maybe a question I have for Mark, because I have been involved with people, especially with I suppose the banks, and they're closing down and people changing jobs or changing careers. And Mark, the problem they have come up with would be, and you can't say it because you wouldn't be told it, it's age discrimination when they go for interviews. Now, saying that, I'm in the business a long time and I'm on a mentoring panel, and we do get people onto projects and different things like that. But the ones who feel they want to go out there have, they've got setbacks, knocked back a few times even though they would have gone paid to get their interview skills, got their CV done up properly and everything else, but they do come up with this barrier, they feel, of age discrimination is the word they use.
Yeah, like it's a tough one, and it's hard to comment properly on it. Like my default answer is, if you have the right skills and experience, like you should be able to articulate yourself and those skills in a way that really impresses. And age and stage of career shouldn't matter. But it's hard to account for every individual that you're meeting.
Yeah, well, look at just the ones I know, but I suppose once they got to 55, after 55, but then we kind of know a few out there, and we got them on consultancy boards and different things that are there. But they went, and they knew they were good for the job. They knew they had they definitely had the experience. Money wasn't the priority.
Yeah.
And just to keep going, but they were still.
Yeah, no, it's definitely difficult. Even some companies I'm dealing with at the moment, like the retirement age in their business is 55 and is 60. So they're neglecting even any applicants that are remotely near those ages. Like, so it's tough, but what we can help with is really how you articulate those skills and really sell yourself, in that it shouldn't matter. Like you can bring big value to these businesses, but it's definitely tough, Gina.
Yeah, there's a massive skill set out there.
Yeah.
That's lost.
See, a lot of people move in. A lot of people move into that kind of, at a certain point of their career, into that non-executive world and into that kind of consulting chairperson roles, like, and that's really ramped up the last sort of 5-7 years. Like, in that people have realized that people are sitting on boards here domestically and internationally that aren't qualified whatsoever. And I don't mean qualified by education. I mean basically the right people with the right experience on those boards. So maybe that's the answer.
I've had experience with that as well. And there's some boards out there, board governance, good luck and thanks, you'd run away from it.
Yeah.
And there's a massive space out there that has to be tackled.
There really is. I mean, we're definitely not saying that we can solve some of those ethical issues that exist out there.
Yeah, exactly.
But what we can do is show that you're serious about staying in business. And without a question, that whole area of non-executive directors is growing. The need for it is growing, and businesses are under pressure to employ more and more non-executive directors. And I think the number of roles there is definitely increasing. So I can see the tables turning for the opportunities. I can see the mistakes have been made, and some are realizing that they've let really strong experience walk out the door, and the value of those that know. So I do see a bit of a turn in it. We definitely won't be able to eliminate it, but we'll be able to give you the skills, the communication skills, the technical skills, and we'll also be able to show that you're taking on new challenges that show that you have a current interest in staying current.
Yeah, that's because I mean, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm afraid not to do the course.
Yeah.
But you know, and people want to do it, but they do get, I suppose, resilient. They need to be a little bit more resilient because they were in jobs for a long time, and then they come along, and it's difficult for them, I suppose, and that's where definitely the mentoring board pays off big time.
But you said the word there, resilience is key. Like the amount of different people that have been in banks, as you say, for 20, 30, 35 years that are new, they don't know what to really do with themselves. So like, fair play to yourself, Gina, and everyone on this course, even considering getting on board, because the roles that are, most of the roles that I'm working on at the moment are across fintech, risk and compliance. Like it's insane. And this will only add value and allow you to be the best version of yourself in the modern market right now. Like, so
this course for me has pushed me way out. We have our own business and everything. I mean, only for Andrew, and I torment him every so often, but I have to say I've done a lifelong learning for a long time, but I love the way this course is rolled out and taught, especially for
Gina. He probably annoys you as well, though. So
I do.
I give him tips every now and again. But no, it's just, I was just asking because I get asked this quite a lot, actually. Not during the summer a lot, or over Christmas a lot. They were asking.
I'm going to try and wrap it up because it is just gone 7.
Yeah.
I can see a few people dropping off. But listen, what I'd say, just one thought I had on what you just said there, Gene, and, you know, we were only talking for ages on the phone yesterday. You know, I do, and Mark might just echo the sentiment that I think employers, recruiters, hiring managers, when they see you've got a commitment to your own learning, that does resonate with them, I think, Mark. You know, when they see that you have committed to your own learning, your own lifetime learning, you know, whether they see it in a CV or you talk about it in an interview, I do think that resonates with employers.
Well, and just to let everyone know, like when we're kind of seeking to pluck someone out of a current job or people that are applying for jobs, they're the type of things that we profile. They're executive employment, any kind of extracurriculars, volunteering, but their education. And like listen, it's unbelievably powerful, especially just the subject of this module and Bachelor. So fair play to everyone.
No, and just to finish up, because I am conscious of the time, what I'm going to do next to follow up is I will obviously share the recording from tonight. I'll share the slides. And we also have a little Google sheet where I know one or two of you, we did this before and it sort of stalled a little bit. We have a little Google sheet if you want to register your interest. That's all it is, register your interest. We're not looking for anyone to pay any fees or stuff tonight or tomorrow, but we'd obviously like to get some idea of the numbers that we might be dealing with, both for this particular delivery starting in March and the next one, hopefully. So I'm going to send all that on to you afterwards. And I just wanted to say thank you to Mark and Christine for their time. We had actually nearly 50 people on at one point. It dropped off a tiny bit towards the last 15 minutes, but that's a phenomenal, again, Mark. I don't know, that tells you something that you've got 50 people giving up an hour on a Wednesday evening to listen to me. Never mind the value of yourself and Christine. So
yeah,
look,
you said it,
thank you, everyone.
You get what you put into it, but we can commit, like from our side, like the experience will be well worth it. So thanks everyone for coming on board.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.